Welcome to the motherfucking relay where we're covering today's top boxing news.
It's the main event.
Yeah.
It's the gentleman sitting next to you.
Mate, that's not going to work for me. I'm not going to sell out 02 for them guys to be the main event. So these guys will not sell box office by themselves. So fuck that. So either you give me a main event or else pull me out of the fucking show.
Okay. Let's talk about that fight.
No, I'm just being serious. You're trying to bombard me like you want me to sell it out to my London crowd, my London fans, and then you want to put these little guys, nobody knows about them, on my show, and then trying to mug me off. Fuck that. Fucking Muhammad Ali trophy, nobody gives a fuck about it no more. Nobody gives a fuck about little guys anymore. That boxing right now is thriving on the heavyweights. So for you to try and give me a chief support on my own bill, that's bollocks.
We number one and number two.
Huh?
We number one and number two.
Who's number one? Bro, nobody cares about you, bro. Let's all be honest.
But we number one and number two.
Yo, don't get me started, bro.
We number one and number two.
Yo, I don't give a shit. Am I taking the main stage, yes or no? If I'm not, I want more money.
Calla, I'm going to pass over to you here. Or Adam, one of you.
Adam, who's taking the main event? You're not answering me because I'm going to go fucking ballistic now.
The crowd and the consumers and the customers and everyone's going to be happy, so let's get on with it.
Yeah, we're going to get on with it until you tell me, am I going to be the main event? If I'm not, give me more money. I'm sorry for doing this right now, but I feel like you just fucking me with no Vaseline. We haven't heard about the Ali Trophy for the last 6 months, and then now they want to jump on our fucking show, on Sky, because something else is going on. Fuck that. Give me more money and we can get to business.
And someone who has beaten on his way here to...
Tell him to go boxing fucking Glasgow, mate. You can sell out Glasgow, let's see it, and if people go buy those tickets in Glasgow, that's it, man.
So you let me do my thing, and you talk to
fuck
Eddie
off.
And this is something I've been wanting, for a long time.
Sam, welcome. Thanks for making the trip over.
Dereck Chisora is no stranger to controversy ahead of a fight. He really isn't. If you've been following this guy's career over the years, this kind of stuff is right up his alley. It's characteristic of him. From slapping Vitaly Klitschko on the face to spitting in Vladimir's, to the melee with David Haye and subsequently having to be separated by a fence, to throwing a table at Dillian White ahead of their fight. Dereck Chisora, ahead of a fight, he's known for controversy. He's known for this kind of stuff.
He's not happy.
This situation isn't quite as chaotic as what we've seen from Dereck in the past, but rest assured, this is something that's going to have a lot of people talking, because Dereck Chisora is of the opinion that he's the one that everybody's coming to see, more or less, and that his fight with Joseph Parker, that should be the main event. And if it's not going to, if it's been demoted to the chief support for the final of the World Boxing Super Series, then he's demanding financial compensation. Essentially, sounds like he's saying that he wants to be paid more than what he was already going to get paid to fight on the undercard. Not to be the main event, but to fight on the undercard. That either his fight with Joseph Parker is going to be the main event, and if it's not, if it's going to be the chief support, the co-main, then he wants more money if it ends up being the co-main. What do I think about that? I'll tell you what I think. Unless there's been some kind of change as a result of being demoted to the co-main, to the chief support, unless there's been some kind of change to what Dereck Chisora stood to make for the Joseph Parker fight, there's no precedence to ask for more money. That's right. You heard it right. Unless there's been some kind of change to the financial arrangement that was already in place for Dereck Chisora, unless that has changed, there's no precedence for him to ask for more money. There isn't.
Why?
Because if he's going to make what he was already going to make before Prograis versus Taylor was added to the card, then what difference does it make if it's the main or the co-main? One way or another, you're going to get the same money you were already going to get. Now, I want to reiterate, I want to remind you that this is so long as the financial package that Dereck Chisora was going to receive, this is so long as the financial package that was already in place hasn't changed.
It's the same as it was.
That if he stands to make what he was already going to make before Prograis and Taylor was added to the card, then what fucking difference does it make whether his fight with Parker is the main or the co-main? One way or another. You're not losing anything. You're not losing any money. That's provided that the financial arrangement is the same as it was before that was added to the card. And the thing is, We don't have that information right now. We don't know what the financial arrangement was and what it has become as a result of adding Prograis versus Taylor to the card. We don't know. We don't have that information. So until we do, it's anybody's guess. But, I reiterate, if the financial arrangement that was in place, if it hasn't changed and Dereck Chisora stands to make what he was already going to make, then there's no reason for him to demand
compensation,
more money. Now, if the financial arrangement that was already in place has changed,
if it has,
then Dereck Chisora has a precedence to be angry, a precedence to be upset, act out, lash out, and protest. If the already existing arrangement, what he was going to be making for the fight, if that changed as a result of adding Prograis versus Taylor to the card, then yeah, I can't blame him for being upset. But that's just it. We don't know that.
We don't.
Right now, we don't know that his financial package has or hasn't changed, and for all we know, this might just be some fucking ego thing, you know? In all honesty, that from where Dereck Chisora is sitting, he's looking at the location, the venue for the card, and he figures that, well, most of the people that are going to be coming are my people. They're here to see me. And you know what? If that's what he figures, well, maybe he's on a bit of an ego trip. I dare say, maybe. Cause while Dereck Chisora and Joseph Parker arguably have the most recognizable names on the bill, can you actually say that all of the excitement, all of the interest in the card
is because of them?
Is as a result of their fight?
Is it really?
That they're who you can attribute for the turnout that the fight may get now that Prograis versus Taylor has been added to the card? I.e., how much excitement is there actually for the Joseph Parker versus Dereck Chisora fight? I'll tell you that as a die-hard boxing fan who keeps up with the sport more so than others, certainly more than the casual fan, I'll tell you that it's a solid heavyweight matchup. I'll tell you that I think, given how both guys operate, it could be a good little fight. But as far as fan interest, how much excitement, how much demand is there actually for this fight?
The main event's worth?
I don't know that, you know, the level of enthusiasm and interest for this fight is the same as, I don't know, Dillian Whyte versus Dereck Chisora 1 and 2. I don't know that this fight is on the level of that fight. I don't know that. I mean, granted, I think it's a solid fight. I think it's going to be entertaining, but I don't know that in terms of marquee value, which is essentially what Dereck Chisora is
highlighting,
using as a talking point, you know? I don't know that in the realm of marquee value, you can attribute all the excitement for this card to that one fight.
Well, most
if anything, I think the Prograis versus Taylor edition makes it an even better card than it was already going to be.
Than it already was.
And that's because, while Parker versus Chisora has the potential to be a nice punch-up, at the end of the day, this isn't a title fight. It's not. Neither one of these guys is holding a world title of any kind. It's not a world championship fight. It's not a fight where there's belts on the line or somebody's O is set to go. It's not that kind of a situation. It's not even an interim. You know, it's not for an interim title. It's not a fight that leads to a title fight. There are these things to be addressed, that it's a nice little punch-up, or it could be a nice little punch-up. But let's not kid ourselves here, okay?
Pump the brakes.
I don't know with any certainty that this fight is garnering the same level of fan interest that, say, you know, Dillian Whyte versus Oscar Rivas had, you know, because there was something on the line there. There was Dillian Whyte's future status as a mandatory challenger to the WBC title, and anybody following that story, anybody following the career of Dillian Whyte, they were very much interested in the outcome, and that's essentially the driving force. You know, that's the intrigue, that's the sizzle that they're trying to sell you. Who's going to end up being Deontay Wilder's mandatory challenger? Is it going to be Dillian Whyte, who's long overdue, or is Oscar Rivas going to steal his thunder? That was the selling point. And when I think about that, I look over at this and I ask myself, is there the same level of fan interest for Chisora versus Parker that there was for Whyte versus Rivas? And you know what? I dare say no. I dare say no. There was more on the line in that fight than there is in this fight. You know, there was an interim title in that fight that could lead to a world title. And anybody following Dillian Whyte's tribulations to last, 2 years? You know, they were interested in the outcome of that thing. So that got a good turnout. But it's a good punch-up. I mean, I don't think it's a bad fight. I think it's a solid fight. But I do feel, you know, maybe Dereck Chisora is being a bit presumptuous. Maybe he's getting a bit ahead of himself. Overestimating, overstating his own value.
Maybe.
Because it almost sounds like Dereck Chisora is saying that he's too good to be relegated to fighting on some undercard. That's more or less what he's trying to say, and need I remind you that his last 2 fights were undercard fights. The fight with Artur Spilka, that was on the undercard for Whyte versus Rivas. His fight before that with Sanad Gashi, that was on the undercard. For Dave Allen versus Lucas Brown. So all of a sudden he's too good to fight on an undercard? I mean, I do think he's being a tad bit presumptuous, I do. And to be quite honest, I don't think Dereck Chisora realizes how fortunate he is to be in the company that he's in. That they're giving this guy a platform to continue his career, a guy who's got 9 pro losses. Let me ask you a question. How's a guy with 9 pro losses make out if he's over there fighting on BT Sport for Queensberry? How's a guy with 9 pro losses make out over there at ESPN and Top Rank? How's a guy with 9 losses, what kind of considerations does a guy with 9 pro losses get over there fighting on Showtime for the PBC or Fox for the PBC? I mean, all things considered, I think Matchroom is giving Dereck Chisora a lot of opportunities to stay fighting, to stay busy, and to stay making money, where another outfit may not be as considerate, because it's very easy to write off a fighter with 9 pro losses and not much chance of becoming a world champion. It's very easy to say, you know what, whatever you were going to do in the sport of boxing, you must have did it already. It's very easy to do that, whereas, Matchroom, they're keeping this guy in the conversation. They're breathing life into this guy's career by consistently giving him these opportunities to participate on these cards.
They really are.
Dereck Chisora is a haymaker promotions guy. You do realize that, right? That's who's handling his career. And because of networking, David Hayes negotiated situations to get Dereck Chisora featured on these Matchroom cards.
Or Sky Sports.
Shown on Sky.
It's an opportunity for him.
But rest assured that this is not a Haymaker Promotions event, I mean, it's not. It's not. Haymaker Promotions is not at the helm of coordinating this event just because one of their fighters happens to be on a card.
It ain't their rodeo.
I mean, in all honesty, I feel like Dereck Chisora, he is being a tad bit presumptuous, overstating his value a bit. I mean, yes, he has his role to play. I'm sure he's helping some of the tickets sell. I'm sure he is. But don't kid yourself.
It's an opportunity for you.
I firmly believe that Matchroom is very much doing a fighter like Dereck Chisora a favor. And that favor is not even exclusive to Dereck Chisora, but fighters like him, Dave Allen, David Price, they're giving these guys the opportunity to make money, you understand? Because in the greater scheme of things, what's the market value of a fighter with 9 pro losses who at this point is very much a journeyman? The kind of fighter who he can put on a show, but he doesn't stand much of a chance of becoming a world champion. The kind of fighter that services as a litmus test for guys on their way up, looking to make a name for themselves. What's the market value for a journeyman fighter with 9 pro losses to a Top Rank, to a PBC, to a Golden Boy Promotions or a Main Events, a DeBella Entertainment? What's the market value of a fighter like that? I think what a fighter like Dereck Chisora would find if he tried his luck with those outfits is that he would not receive the same considerations he's already getting from Matchroom. I think that's what he'd find. Fighters like Dereck Chisora, Dave Allen, David Price, hell, Ricky Burns, he's still floating around. He's going to be fighting Lee Selby. I think what Dereck Chisora would find is he would not receive the same consideration with another outfit that he's already getting from Matchroom, who is allowing him to continue his career by allowing him to participate in these events and stay a factor of some kind. Maybe not the biggest factor, but a factor of some kind. They're giving him the avenue of opportunity, whereas, he looks at it as if he's the big show.
King shit.
He's the main event, and I just don't know how I feel about that. I feel like he's helping to move some of those tickets, granted, but there also is intrigue in regards to Prograis versus Taylor. Oh, granted, a lot of Regis's fans, that they might not be over there in London. Regis's fans might not be, but I think some of those Glaswegians, so some of those Scots, I think they'll come out for Josh Taylor, for the Tartan Tornado.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
The ones, that are willing to travel and the ones that are there already. So I do feel overall that Dereck Chisora's rant, his tirade, him throwing his toys out of the pram is a bit of prima donna behavior. I do. Moving on. Junior middleweight contender Brian Castaño aims to get big names in the junior middleweight division, and he set his sights on fights with Munguia, fights with Hurd, fights with Williams,
All the big names.
fights with Charlo. And, it's a funny thing about Brian Castaño. He was the WBA's regular champion. He held the lesser version of the title that Julian Williams now holds. Brian Castaño had the baby belt version. And funny thing about that title, If he were in possession of that title here and now, he would be aligned for a potential fight against what is the only unified champion at the weight, Julian Williams. But Brian Castaño ended up vacating that title ahead of a mandate from the WBA that required him to square off with Michael Sorrow in a rematch.
Back in June.
The reasons that, Brian Castaño gave for not going through with the fight was that, Michael Sorrow's people, Univent, refused to put Brian Castaño's purse in escrow. And, that's pretty important because by putting it in escrow, you provide proof that the funds actually exist. And for Brian, there's actually a precedence for him to be a stickler when it comes to that. We'll talk about it in a few. But they refused to put his funds in escrow, and they refused to hire VADA to manage the anti-doping tests ahead of this rematch with Michael Sorrow. It's for this reason that, Brian ended up vacating the WBA title, at least according to Brian. And the thing about this situation, the reason that Brian was being such a stickler in regards to the purse being put in escrow is because, allegedly, the first time that he fought Michael Sorrow, he didn't receive the payment for that fight. He didn't receive his purse until months after the fight took place. So, ahead of this mandate, ahead of this rematch, he wasn't going to let him give him the runaround. Not for a second time. But as we can see, everything fell apart. Now, the funniest thing about this situation is, in spite of Brian Castaño vacating the WBA regular title, it didn't end up in the hands of Michael Sorrow. It ended up in the hands of Arislandy Lara, who won it, who won the vacant title by squaring off against Canelo's brother not that long ago. We talked about it here on the channel. So it's funny that it happened that way. It's funny that the title didn't go to Michael Sorrow, or that Arislandy Lara didn't have to fight Michael Sorrow to get it. Just a funny turn of chance, a funny turn of events. Better still, had Brian Castaño been in possession of that world title, he would have been closer to at least one of those big names, one of those big fights that he's looking to have. He would have been closer to a Julian Williams fight. But since he's not in possession of that belt, I think it's going to be hard for him to get that fight. I really do. I mean, you think about the names on his hit list. Jaime Munguia. That's a fight that is almost guaranteed not to happen. Why? Munguia's set to be moving up after this Alati fight. He's set to be moving up into the middleweight division. That rules Munguia out. You think about who else is on Brian Castaño's hit list. Jamel Charlo. Well, Jamel's all tied up with this Tony Harrison rematch, so that rules him out too. We then come to the name of Jarrett Hurd. Jarrett Hurd, who's got no prior engagements. He walked away from that rematch that Julian Williams and him was supposed to have. A rematch Julian contractually was obligated to give him. But Jarrett walked away from that, you understand? So, if he walked away from that, what are the odds that he walks into a Brian Castaño fight? I mean, what does Brian Castaño have that would entice Jarrett Hurd to lock horns with him? I don't view that fight as being very likely. Essentially, I don't know, what the future holds for Brian Castaño. He's an entertaining fighter that comes from a very good pedigree, but all things considered, given the aforementioned names on his hit list, in all honesty, I don't know what he can do at this point in the juncture to get those fights. It could be upwards of a year or 2 years before he gets an opportunity, and that's assuming that one of those guys don't give him one out of the kindness of their heart. But how likely is that, ladies and gentlemen? Essentially what I'm getting at is I admire Brian Castaño's ambitions, and I hope he can get those fights, but there are certain realities to be addressed, and I just don't see an avenue of opportunity for him to get those fights. I don't.